What's up, you guys? It's your boy Miguel giving your daily dose of radiation. In today's video, we are covering how does on-call work when you work at a hospital as an X-ray tech. So to give you context, I am a night shift X-ray tech. Been doing it for 4 years. Work at a trauma 3 ER. So on-call. Some people don't want to work at a hospital because you have to be on call. So there's different types of call depending on the shifts and the holidays. And also what shifts you work at varies by the position you work at. So there's always someone at work at the hospital, Monday through Friday, 24 hours. Does not matter when. The hospital never closes. Always someone, minimum 2, right? That being said, if you work day shift, majority of the time, and it all kind of depends on the breakdown. For the holidays, usually there's the scheduled, they can break it into the morning on call or the afternoon on call. Some places do the whole day on the holidays, you're on call. Other places have set people that have to work the holidays. Usually you'll have to work 2 major holidays and 2 minor holidays. That's kind of how you do it. And the way our hospital does it, whoever works night shift, if it falls on your regular night shift, because if you do 7 on, 7 off, usually they'll have one of the techs who usually runs that 7 just work their normal day. Or sometimes they'll ask both of the techs, I'm like, hey, this is part of your regular 7, do you just want to work it? Because being on call and taking off just one day when you work night shift and flipping back and forth, it's kind of hard sometimes. Some people would rather just run it the whole 7. To me personally, I would rather just run it the whole 7 and just work. Other people would rather take the day off, so sometimes they take someone off. Some places have you where if you work the next day, like if you're scheduled to work Monday for a regular holiday and you're on call, usually if you get called in, they'll put someone else on your regular slot and then someone else coming in. It'll just be flipped. And then just during the year, you're usually just regular schedule, not holidays. You have the on call usually 2 to 3 times a month, depending on with like people taking PTO off, or if you took vacation, or how the schedule, it gets complicated, but usually it's just 2. It's either at the beginning of the month or at the end of the month, depending on how your schedule works. If you're the Monday through Friday people, usually you'll have on call on the weekends, and you'll have either first call, you'll get called in first, and then there's a second call on the weekend, and vice versa. They'll flip it every other weekend. And if you're like me who works night shift, your on call is at the beginning of the month or at the end of the month, Monday through Friday. Well, it's like Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, Friday. When you're off, you'll either have it at the beginning or at the end of the month. Sometimes, if you're like me who works all the time and you have put ungodly amount of overtime, you're technically, I don't have on call because I'm already working so many days at the hospital. Like I think last month I worked like 26 days. Like when you gonna put me on call when I'm working all the time? So you can end up like me where you don't have to pick up call, but I mean if you're working all the time, you would kind of be almost expected not to be on call on the few days you are off. So that is one scenario. There is a cheese method, I call it, to avoid being on call if your place has the way mine is, where you can either be Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, Friday. If you pick up, like if you're off on the weekends, usually we take call those 4 days. If you work extra and it's nighttime, if you schedule it for Monday, if you work an extra shift on Monday and then an extra shift on Thursday, technically you can avoid call, because since you work night shift, they can't call you in before or after, because when you're getting off, the day. Like if you get off usually Wednesday, so Wednesday that whole afternoon you can't be on call till Thursday and Friday. So if you work Thursday, technically they can't put you on call Wednesday or Friday because you're getting off into the Friday morning. So sometimes with me and my lady, because she's a nurse, the way to avoid being on call, I'll just strategically, right now there's so much overtime because the opposite shift of the night shift's available, so I'll just kind of schedule it to the point where I'll pick the days so I can't be on call on the other days, or I'll just pick up a lot depending. So that's one way to kind of avoid it for night shift. Daytime, it's a little bit different to avoid. There's not really any way to avoid like the night shift does, because like when you get off work, you go to sleep and then you come back, you can be on call the next day. So it's kind of different. Let me see what else we have for you. You can obviously always switch call most places. If you find someone who's willing to switch call with you in those days and your manager approves of it, you can usually switch calls. I don't think it's a problem, but you could also probably pick other people call, as long as our hospital, as long as the call days, if there's someone on call and there's someone available. There's been times where people have been like, hey Miguel, I got called into work today, are you able to pick up for me? And I was like, yeah, it's fine, I'm not doing anything. And as long as your manager's okay with it, you could probably pick up extra call if you want to. There's extra money always when you pick up call. Let me adjust the focus. There's extra money. It's an extra, like ours is an extra $2.50 an hour if you get called in. But we do 24-hour calls. Usually for the holidays, or depending on your situation, sometimes you can break up your call. There's like the morning, like the 8 to 8, and then the 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. call. You can break it up that way if you find someone who's willing to do it. I usually, if I'm on call, I just kind of run it. It's fine, whatever. I literally live 3 minutes from the house. So I know some people can't really do much because if they want to go out of the town legally, you have to be here within 30 minutes, 45-ish. Now, for the reason being called in to work, there's a few reasons why. Either someone called in, let's say day shift, starts at 8 a.m., they called in at 7, or sometimes the day before, whatever. So you get called in and you'll finish their shift, right? Other times you'll have the it got so busy that usually daytime, it got so busy that they need more help. They got super slammed, a bunch of EMSs, bunch of traumas. Wow. Occasionally, I would say maybe once or twice a year that happens. Usually it doesn't. You'll get called in. Occasionally you will get called in for like holidays. Maybe someone had an accident coming into work, they couldn't make it. There's that kind of a situation. There's always that falls into play. Sometimes if there's training involved and they don't have, technically they do have enough staffing, but since someone is training, they don't qualify as a full tech during their window. So technically speaking, they need someone extra. You could be called in like that. Occasionally you'll have situations where you do get called in and it's just for a little bit and then you get sent home. If you ran a full shift that day, you can't get called back in the afternoon. Usually they'll pick up call from the next day ahead. They'll put someone on call. They'll drag someone else to come and work that day. Usually that happens because I think there's like a 16-hour or 14-hour where I work. That's the amount of hours that our company legally allows you to work. So there's that situation. Let's see what else. I don't think it's a big deal, even if when I'm on call, majority of the times I kind of know ahead of time if I'm being called in. There's been a few times that maybe within 30 to 40 minutes before shift, you can kind of know, like at our job, we have pretty good stable people that usually, if it's like 7 o'clock, 7 to 8, or even 9, if I don't get called in during that little day shift going into work entry hours, then usually I'll be fine. And then it's always the afternoon, the 8 p.m., the night shift, which I work. Our people will call in. That's another type of window that you'll have to kind of be. I mean, they'll either call you, text you, whichever one, and you can kind of know what's going on there. And yeah, it's been your boy Miguel. See you on the next one.